Do you have dreams of being someone great only to feel held back by your own laziness? Do you ever feel like hard work is just so much easier for everyone else? Well, this best-selling book, The War of Art, answers these questions exactly, in a manner that can honestly be life-changing. So this video is going to cover all the lessons I've learned reading it in 3 parts. I'll expose exactly what the problem is, how we're tricked by it, and most importantly, how to beat it once and for all. If you stick with this video, even when it gets uncomfortable, you'll be a lot closer to becoming a version of you that's been waiting on the other side. Resistance is the most toxic force on the planet. It is the root of more unhappiness than poverty, disease, and erectile dysfunction. Essentially, this book is all about resistance. If you've ever procrastinated, then you'll know it well. Resistance is the terrorizing, relentless force within ourselves that stops us from doing the work we know we need to do. In our hearts, a voice calls us to fulfill our potential, to be more than we are. But resistance does everything it can to stop us. The author Steven Pressfield, known for all these books and movies, is no stranger to it. It took him 17 years before he made a penny from his writing after having lost far too many battles against resistance. Thankfully, we can learn from his journey. So this is what you need to know if you want to beat resistance. Resistance comes from within, and it comes for everyone. It doesn't want to weaken us, it wants to take us out entirely. It will tell us absolutely anything to keep us from doing our work. It will lie to us, reason with us like a lawyer, put a gun to our head, or make a deal, then double cross us. If we take resistance at its word, it will ruin us. But the worst part, it will never stop coming after us. The battle must be fought anew every day. The good thing is though, resistance is fueled only by fear. If we can overcome our fear of it, we can defeat it. Pressfield's rule of thumb: the more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that we have to do it. Resistance also only tries to make us worse. The example the author uses, which I find really compelling, is someone that works with the Mother Teresa Foundation. They will face resistance. But if they wake up one morning and decide to give it all up to chase a career in telemarketing, they will find no resistance at all. They'll get a free pass. I'll uncover exactly how to beat resistance, but first, it's super important that we know what disguises it uses to deceive us. Procrastination is resistance's favorite trick. We don't say, "I'll never write my novel." We say, "I'll start tomorrow." And then we say that every day until years have passed. Sometimes resistance tells us that we need to heal before we do our work. But Pressfield points out that the part of ourselves that we create from doesn't need healing. That part is bulletproof. The part that needs healing is our personal life, and our personal life has nothing to do with our work. Drama is easier than work. Whether we're cruel to others or constantly enabling others to be cruel to us, it's all resistance. Rationalization is deadly. These are the lies that we tell ourselves, pretending to be justifiable logic.
How could I possibly be expected to handle school on a day like this?
It's one thing to lie to ourselves, it's another thing to believe it. But rationalization is actually fear disguised. That's because if it weren't disguised, we'd see clearly that we're being cowards and feel ashamed about it. And that shame may drive us to act. And a lot of the time, these rationalizations are extremely convincing, if not true. But the author points out, Tolstoy had 13 kids and still wrote War and Peace. There will always be excuses. Even when writing this book, Pressfield was almost beaten by resistance. The voice in his head told him that he was a writer of fiction, not non-fiction. It also said that by framing himself as someone that had wisdom to share, he was being vain. Pressfield says, even though these arguments scared him, what made him proceed in the end was that he became too unhappy not doing it. And as soon as he sat down and began, he was okay. But Pressfield continues to describe what it feels like if we don't confront resistance. He says it starts with unhappiness. There's a low amplitude misery in everything we do. We become bored and restless. Nothing we do satisfies us. We feel guilty, but we can't decipher why. We start to hate our lives and hate ourselves. If resistance still isn't dealt with, the pain becomes unbearable. So to handle the pain, we turn to our chosen vices. Our phones, games, adultery, drugs, whatever. If we still don't face resistance, we can spiral into much worse. Resistance can be beaten. If resistance couldn't be beaten, there would be no Fifth Symphony, no Romeo and Juliet, no Golden Gate Bridge. So finally, how the hell do we beat resistance? We do it by turning pro. I can state absolutely that the term of my life can be divided into 2 parts, before turning pro and after. Resistance hates it when we turn pro. When Pressfield describes a professional, he means someone that is truly committed themselves to facing resistance. They're not doing it half-assed, for the fun of it, casually on the weekends. The professional shows up stoically every single day. It's easy to understand what professional does differently because most of us are pros already. We have our day jobs. So what are 3 principles that we stick to in our day jobs that we can apply to our deeper aspirations? 1, we show up every day. 2, we show up even if we're tired, sick, or miserable. And 3, we stay committed to the job all day. When Pressfield was younger, he was in the Marine Corps. He said what they do really well is they teach you how to be miserable. Apparently for Marines, they find satisfaction in how shit things are. how much more misery they can suffer compared to every other weakling that's out there. The committed artist, like the Marines, needs to love being miserable. This way they can accept the obstacles that their calling has in stock for them. Isolation, rejection, self-doubt, despair, ridicule, contempt, and humiliation. This may sound like the professional no longer loves what he's doing, but Pressfield argues the opposite. If the amateur loved it enough, he says, they wouldn't be doing it part-time. They'd commit themselves to it fully. The professional loves it so much he commits his life to it. But pride will get you nowhere. The professional thinks of himself as a gun for hire, knowing that progress is made 1 day, 1 hour, and 1 minute at a time. The professional plays the hand he was dealt. Bad luck, injustice, mistakes, good luck and successes. You have to do what you can with where you're at. The professional self-validates. He knows the critic in his head is enough resistance to face. To allow external criticism to take hold of us would be too much. The professional still listens to criticism, however, because he wants to grow. He just won't let it swallow him alive. The professional can't take failures and humiliation personally. It's better to be in the arena, getting stomped on by the bowl, than to be up in the stands or out in the parking lot. Resistance tricks us by making us believe that we can do impossible things by impossible deadlines. The professional, however, has learned to be patient. Instead of burning out in singular pieces of work, he has learned that the tortoise always beats the hare. The amateur believes he needs to relieve his fear before he can do his work. The professional knows that fear can never be overcome. Professionals don't wait for inspiration to strike. Instead, they sit down to do their work. Then, like magic, inspiration follows. The amateur listens to and believes resistance's lies, rationalizations, and excuses. The professional, however, knows that if she allows herself to be tricked today, she's twice as likely to fall prey again tomorrow. The professional begins each day prepared to confront resistance. He knows he'll have to take heavy hits and face demons he's never met before. His only goal is to handle himself as best he can.
Seems like he never learns there's such a thing as a critter will just keep coming on.
The pro keeps coming on. He beats resistance by being more resolute than it is. Resistance, like the bully it is, backs down to any weakling willing to confront him. There's no mystery to turning pro. It's a decision brought about by an act of will. We make up our minds to view ourselves as pros and we do it. Simple as that. This second, we can turn the tables on resistance. This second, we can sit down and do our work. There's even more value in the actual book, so I recommend everyone gets a copy for themselves. It's really good.